Next slide, please. One last element here is that they are also required. I just want to reiterate this for any interim year initiatives that occur. And as discussed, we've obsoleted some investment mechanisms. The technology investment request, the TIRE, was a system quite a long time ago. It hasn't been valid for 2 biennium. The technology waiver for enhancements, the TWEs, those were used to update the tires. Again, those have not been valid for 2 biennium. The original TIN system we put in place, because of the dependency on InfoPath and SharePoint, just had so many challenges with it that the new system really made that obsolete. Additionally, that is now obsolete for submitting old completion memos. There are some still from 2019 that may be accurate, but we're asking people with an old TIN completion memo to go in and take that old TIN and migrate it to the 2.0 system. The migration is relatively straightforward, especially if things have not changed much. We will help you with this. We'll help dig out the old version of the TIN and provide you with that PDF and the attachments, so you can create a new TIN and just go down the line and basically copy and paste. We have unfortunately, we have no import or migration process involved. And so this would, we will help you every way we can. And that's the end of my little song and dance. I think we had some questions in the middle. I don't know if we have any outstanding yet.
Yeah, thank you, David, and for the presentation on technology investments for the budget build and beyond. Right, I think that's a critical component to hit on here. That what we just talked about with the technology investment notification process and the cloud investment notification process, those aren't just for budget build, right? That's really how EATS communicates with our partner agencies on a lot of your technology investment needs. So we did have some questions come in during our presentation, and so I'm going to start trying to cover those. And I believe GFO also has some questions that we'll address. So we got one question in regarding the Teams calling. As we're all pretty well familiar, during the pandemic, Microsoft, they made available to us the individual calling plans. And then it was communicated that those individual calling plans in Teams were going to go away. And then now Microsoft has decided to keep that as part of that E3 or G3 bundle that we currently have. So what that means is you will continue to have a number within your Teams meeting. So if you set a Teams meeting, it will have a dial-in number that you can take advantage of. You will continue to have dial-out access, but there's a caveat there. If it is a long-distance number, that could incur some charges. And you would probably be hearing from us if that happens to cover those costs. So that was a really great question that came in. So thank you for that question. Another question that came in was regarding what applications, what tools are available within that business productivity suite. So it's all of your standard Office applications. So when we talk about standard Office applications, we're talking about things like Outlook, Word, Excel, OneNote, PowerPoint. I'm trying to go through the list here. And Teams. Teams is included. So the individual user license for Teams is included in that G3 license. The Teams license that I was referring to that is ancillary would be the Teams room license. And so if you have a conference room with native Teams room equipment in it, like the room that we're sitting in today, that is an additional license. So that's an ancillary license that should be planned for and budgeted for moving forward. So once again, thanks for a really good question there. And we were asked for a little bit more clarification on the E710. And when we're talking about the E710, we're talking about the standard hardware replacement schedule. right? We understand that this is pretty standard, it's pretty routine, and generally speaking, this wouldn't put you into the potential IT governance threshold where we really need to be cognizant of our timelines here. So for those standard E710 equipment replacement IT investments, yes, a TIN is required, but the due date for those would be about July 1st. So we would want those in before July 1st, before you finish your budgeting process. So, and what we've done in the past with those is if your department has multiple budget accounts, and obviously each one of those budget accounts has their own equipment replacement list that they're going to be submitting, include those in one massive TIN, right? Include those all in one large TIN, and that just helps us get an idea of the magnitude of investment that's going towards replacement equipment. That was already covered. Then we got another question in. Will the agency need to still submit a TIN request for the budget biennium build if during a contract approval, the TIN was approved at that time? If the TIN hasn't changed, you're good. Now, GFO will probably want to see that completion memo or copy of the TIN during your budget submission. But if that investment has not changed by plus or minus 5% that David was talking about, then there would be no need to resubmit that TIN to us. In fact, we would ask you not to, because then it would just add to our backlog and our list of TINs that we have to review. Just attach that to your submission to your agency request submission to GFO. And you'll be good as long as it still matches your intent and it hasn't changed by plus or minus 5%. But thank you for the questions. I believe we have a few more.
Thank you. I really want to say thank you to everybody who's been submitting the questions to the budget email. We've got a list of them here, and a couple of them are going to be still outstanding. And when they're agency specific, we will be sending responses directly to the person who's submitted those. So the first question I will cover, will success factors 8-digit PCN be incorporated into the NEBS position tab? And I will tell you that that's still under consideration at this time. And however, but both the advantage number for the PCN is located in success factors, and so the agency will be able to reconcile their positions. Another question we received is, where can we find the governor's strategic plan? And I will the answer to that is, it is being finalized with the governor's office, and when we have that information, we will share that. When will the budget manual instructions be available online? The answer to that is soon. And again, when will the budget module be available in NEBS? And again, that answer is soon. Specific question to Heather's presentation before, is it a requirement to complete the budget prep checklist in NEBS? For example, does everything need to be marked as complete prior to submitting AOO? Will agencies receive an error if all items in the budget prep checklist are not completed by September 1st? So let me go back to the first part of that question. Is it a requirement to complete the budget prep checklist in NEBS? And the answer is no. And then when changing the view in the line items tab, such as moving columns around, deleting fields, will others see that same view, or will it be modified view remain? Or if a different user accesses the budget, if the user navigates out of the current budget, does it reset to the original view? And the answer is that it's specific to the individual user. And the last question is a repeat. So those are the questions that we have for now.
Awesome. So in closing from the EAT side, definitely thank you everybody for your participation and your collaboration during this budget build. It's really that partnership between our agencies that will help this budget build move as smoothly as possible and really set us up for success moving into the next biennium. And it's really important that we emphasize the partnership there, because it is a partnership. And the earlier and more often that we communicate with each other, the better it will be for both of us. So that's it from here at EATS. Thank you for your time, and I would like to introduce Administrator Robert Burgess from the Fleet Services Division in the Department of Administration. Robbie.
Thanks, Tim. It is Robert, but I do go by Robbie. I'm Robbie Burgess. I'm the administrator for the Fleet Service Division. And for some of you folks that have been around the state for a while, we are motor pool. So the Fleet Service Division, we've been around for quite some time, and we support every vehicle need that your department or division may have. Go ahead. Our mission is to provide superior customer-driven service to state agencies while being on the forefront of fleet management, alternate fuels, and technology. And our strategy is to partner closely with the private sector to ensure the product we deliver to our customers is delivered in a cost-efficient and effective manner. And what we're saying with that is that we work with vehicle dealerships, we work with automotive repair facilities, and working on state vehicles, whether you're in Elko, Ely, Las Vegas, Carson City, Gardnerville, wherever you may be at, we handle any vehicle need that you guys may have. And we're under statutory authority of NRS 336. Go ahead. The Fleet Service Division provides many services. We have long-term monthly vehicle assignments to all agencies and departments throughout the state. We also have short-term vehicle assignments in all three of our facilities, both in Carson City, Reno, and Las Vegas. If you're flying into Las Vegas and you have a vehicle need, the Fleet Service Division has short-term vehicles that we will rent to your agency. You use it as long as you need it, bring it back to us. We'll put you back on the airplane and get you back home. We also provide maintenance. We provide maintenance not only for just our vehicles, all state vehicles. So even though you may have a vehicle and you're not under the auspice of the Fleet Service Division, you may want to give us a call as well to take a look at fixing your vehicle, because our labor rates are considerably much less than what they are out there in the retail market. We have many different ways of fueling options. We have fuel in all three of our facilities. Plus, with our vehicles, we also offer the NDOT cards as well. So our fueling options for our vehicles, you can go anywhere there's an NDOT station that has fuel, and you can utilize the fuel for our cars. We offer reporting, any type of reporting that you may have questions on, or you may want to look at as far as utilizations. We can help you figure that out. And long-term strategic fleet planning. So if you're looking at replacing your fleet, say you have a fleet that are agency owned and you want to move over to the Fleet Service Division, which I would highly recommend, because we would make your life a whole lot easier, feel free to give us a call. Go ahead. For the budget bill, the long-term vehicle request, it's the MP5 form. And when you do this, we would like you to review your agency's mission and the tasks that you're trying to achieve by leasing a vehicle. And we'd like you focus on the vehicle that you need, whether you need a compact, intermediate, a specialty vehicle, and so on. And the vehicle that you need, does it need any type of special equipment? Does it need a camper shell? Does it need a toolbox? Do you need a service body? Do you need four-wheel drive? There's a lot of different things that go along with the vehicles. And when we talk about four-wheel drive, does your agency go off-road quite a bit? Not necessarily. You won't need a four-wheel drive for Las Vegas, especially if you're in the metro area. But if you're, say, working in Clark County and you do go off-road quite a bit, then yes, a four-wheel drive may be available for you as well. And another thing too is color. It seems kind of minuscule, but when you do the MP5 request, you may want to say, hey, I want a black vehicle. I think a black vehicle would look really good for our agency. But here's the thing, if you're in Las Vegas, you may want to reconsider a black vehicle, especially come the summertime. To get an idea of the vehicles that we have, you can go to our website, and we do have a complete vehicle schedule that shows you the vehicles that we do have options, whether the compacts, intermediates, and such. And you can also, it's also in the NEV schedule, the vehicles that are available. One thing I do want to touch on is if you are an agency that you have quite a few vehicles, you might want to take a look at the utilization guidelines in SAM 1407. And if you're an agency that has several vehicles and you're not putting the required miles on a monthly basis, you may want to reconsider putting in for additional vehicles. You know, you can call me and we can talk about possibly moving some vehicles around to get some better utilization for your agency. And if you have any questions on the vehicles, don't hesitate to call me. My phone number, that's actually my direct line at the Carson City office. Doors always open, always willing to answer any questions, and no stupid question is a bad question. They're all good questions to me. Or you can reach out to our Carson Fleet email there. Go ahead. Well, if anybody's looked at the gas prices lately, here's kind of a little subtle thing to EV or not to EV. If you're looking to move your agency assigned vehicle toward a hybrid or electric vehicle this next coming up biennium, you might want to give us a call. And it's amazing about technology. Technology moves at such a fast pace that the range of these electric vehicles are getting further and further and further. So you might want to take a look at EVs. And our brother division, Buildings and Grounds under Public Works, there actually is with upcoming infrastructure coming. So there will be charging stations coming to a state parking facility in the near future. So you may want to take a look at looking at electric vehicles as an option for the next coming biennium. And by all means, call me if you have any questions regarding EV vehicles. Go ahead. This is the MP5 request for long-term assigned vehicles. This is the form that our agency needs from you by July 1st. What this form is, this is a description of your agency, what budget account you are, and what vehicles that you're going to be looking at. It's a type of vehicles, how many vehicles, any type of special equipment that you're looking at, and so on. If you also want to replace a vehicle, say you want to, I'm not really using this compact, our division's mission has kind of changed a little bit. I think we really need an SUV at this point. You can actually do a request for upgrade on this form as well. And also, you can also downgrade if you're not using that 10-passenger van. It's like, you know what, we could really get away with getting a compact. Please fill this form out and get it to us by July 1st. That gives us an idea on how we're building our budget for this upcoming biennium and to fulfill your needs, your vehicle needs. Go ahead. This will give you an idea what's on the vehicle schedule. This vehicle schedule is on our website. If you have any questions, go to the Fleet Service Division website, and this is also the same schedule that's in NEVS. Another avenue to look for vehicles and what's available is also to another Department of Administration's the Purchasing Division. If you go under statewide contracts and under vehicles, it'll give you all the dealers that we have, and they'll give you a plethora of vehicle options that are out there. And what's nice about the vehicle, when you look at the dealers, they will have the class and grade per each vehicle, so you know exactly what you're getting. Go ahead. To give you folks an idea, this is what our last biennium rates were like, and this is what our current rates are looking like. This will give you a really good idea on how to forecast and budget for your vehicle needs. Go ahead. And short and sweet, if you have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My direct line is the 684-1883, and or you can give us send us an email at the Carson Fleet.
We don't have any questions.
No questions, no raised hands.
Good. Okay, well, I think without further ado, I will introduce my compatriot, fellow administrator with the Public Works Division, Ward Patrick.
Thank you, Brother Robbie Burgess. Under the leadership of Department Administration Director Laura Freed, the team will be presenting the CIP application process and how that affects maintenance. Kent Lefevre and I, Ward Patrick, will be presenting this information. Leanne Lima will present budget build information on commercial leases and state-owned building area rented from buildings and grounds. What is a CIP project? There's a simple rule here at the bottom of the slide. It's projects where construction cost estimates are greater than 100,000. Many of you have heard that before. But there are some things that, there's exceptions to that challenge. You can see what is never and what is always a CIP. Carpet, painting, draperies, filter and media replacement for cooling towers and air handlers. Those are never a CIP. What's always a CIP are what we call the statewide program, roofing, Americans with Disability Act renovations, fire and life safety, paving, environmental, and items that affect exiting out of your building, as well as structural projects. I'll turn the presentation over to Kent Lefevre, the state's architect.
This is a CIP, the UNLV Advanced Engineering Building. Here pictured is an artist's rendering of the building. The groundbreaking ceremony was held a couple of weeks ago on February 24th in Las Vegas, Nevada, and is slated to be completed in the spring of 2024. When completed, this project will be a 52,000 square foot, 3-story facility, providing wet and dry engineering labs for a growing engineering student body. Next slide. This is not a CIP. This image is that of a homestead cabin sporting the required elements of 1 door and 2 windows as required by the Homestead Act of 1862. Structural inspections are not required. Next slide. Our process is currently one in which we respond to other agencies' requests for CIP projects. Because of that, it is critical for you to make your applications on the website shown. If we do not hear from you through the CIP application project, we don't automatically enter projects on our own. There's a list of project managers on our website, and one has been assigned to your agency. A project manager is available to assist you with questions you might have. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Administrator Patrick to discuss the application process.
Thank you, Kent, for pointing out our website, publicworks.md.gov. The application includes many questions that you'll need to fill out to provide us with essential information we need to evaluate each of your projects. Priority rank will be in numerical order. If the department has, say, 10 projects, prioritize them 1 through 10 as an example. The application is broken down into these 6 categories. The top 3 are qualified for every project, and then the bottom 3 are for those that are a construction type project, either new construction or addition or remodel. So there's an administrative section. There's a narrative section, cost estimating and funding sources section, site analysis, as well as programming, and a new section this session, office space planning, due to audits from the executive branch. Results of an incomplete or confusing CIP application are often problematic. Clear and concise applications are what we're looking for. This first picture is likely what is desired, and the second is maybe what was described. So any effort put into concise applications, I know, and it does take some effort, right? Information that is concise often takes more work than a verbose application. So just keep in mind, concise and clear applications usually get more of what you want than not. The administrative section is to include the project name, the description, location, requesting agency, and the contact person. The department will rank their projects And the rank will be, number one will be the most important projects through the lowest ranked project. A project narrative justification is required for all projects. Justifying the project is critical. You should be able to demonstrate why your project is important to be funded in the CIP. In this portion of the application, facts are highly regarded over opinions. Throughout the CIP process, the using agency is the lead in justifying the project. Public Works will do the scope and the estimate, but as always, the agency is the lead in justifying the project. Also in the application, we ask about what drives the schedule for each project request. Agencies are asked to provide preliminary estimates and funding sources. Public Works will prepare all final estimates. Efforts to identify and price these items are greatly appreciated. We've received a lot of applications without additional information, and again, they're somewhat problematic. So any effort put into those is greatly appreciated. The application includes a schedule for preliminary purposes only. A site analysis is needed for new construction only, and items similar to this listed here will be included in that section. And we ask that you provide information as it is available. Programming to Public Works means something which defines the problem. It defines the items listed in this slide to be considered. Office space planning. Public Works will use these responses to identify office space consolidation opportunities. So you may think that you don't want to be an owner of a building, but there may be an opportunity to consolidate your spaces into, say, a B&G brand building. So we're asking for information on potential lease space consolidation, potential state-owned space consolidation. Also, there's a question asking for long-term office space goals. Our approval process to develop the program includes 5 major milestones. The first one has the department head and any support staff discuss the projects with Kent and I right here. It also develops a deeper understanding of the project and assists us in coordinating information about each project through the approval process. On August 24th and 25th, there will be agency presentations to our board. Our board consists of professionals in our industry appointed by both the governor and the legislature. In September, we finalized the administrator's recommendation to the board. On October 1st, we submit the board's recommendation to the governor. Then in January, the governor submits the CIP as a portion of his budget plan to the legislature. Hearings start to occur in February, and we explain and justify each project in those hearings. Public Works reports on each state-owned building on a revolving basis. The deliverable is called Facility Condition Analysis Report. You can use these reports for making budget requests. These requests could be for in the CIP, they could be for regular maintenance in your operating budget, or deferred maintenance, also known as M425 if it was previously requested. Please understand these reports do not include a cost estimate. Please understand these reports do include a cost estimate for the work described, but is not a complete CIP estimate. It is only a rough estimate of construction cost. It does not include refinement or engineering input, nor does it include any project costs or what's known as soft costs. How do I develop a maintenance project request? You can use these reports, these FCA reports. Estimates for facility maintenance and deferred maintenance are planning level estimates only. These estimates do not include, again, the soft costs. What that means is permitting, design fees, contingencies, and other costs that are not construction that are needed to complete a project. These planning level estimates should be substantiated with additional due diligence prior to making budget requests. Next is Leanne Lima, the state's leasing services manager.
Thank you, Ward. Good afternoon. As Administrator Patrick indicated, I'm Leanne Lima with the Leasing Services section. In this part of the presentation, we will cover the common requirements to consider for building your budget and a few of the other services that we offer. The division's first obligation is to house agencies in state-owned space. Vacancy can be found on our website listed here on this slide. If you are interested in state space, please submit a state-owned space request form, which can be found on our website. However, when state space is not available, leasing in the private sector is the next option. The leasing services section can assist with the facility budgeting process, whether it's state-owned or leased. Here we will cover the items needed to properly forecast lease costs for your facilities. Please remember to include rental payments for which the agency is currently liable. Our master lease log reflects the leases in the state and can be found at our website listed here. This spreadsheet can be used to verify data that you may or may not already have. For new space or relocation projections, once a budget request form is submitted, we can provide a market analysis. This analysis will offer rental rates based on the current market. Take into consideration that the current rental rate, please take into consideration that the current real estate market is increasing, and this should be projected into your budget regardless of renewal, relocation, expansion, new space, or tenant improvements. Our ability to identify space depends on detailed conditions surrounding the facility's occupancy, demands, and region requested. Please keep in mind that the renewal rates that we provide are just estimates. When planning for a new facility or additional space, the most common items to consider are new staff who will require new space and all associated furniture, equipment. This seems obvious, and sometimes in the rush of budgeting, this may be overlooked. If you are moving, consider that existing office furniture and equipment may not be functional. This is an important thought if you have specialized furniture or equipment. When new equipment is purchased, old items will need to be removed, and this is something that you may not have budgeted for. As a reminder, the state property cannot be abandoned in vacant space. Plan to budget for moving costs. This applies to any situation where you're forecasting a move into a new facility or requesting new furniture and equipment. You may need assistance with heavy items, even if you are just putting in more workstations into an existing space. These are costs that need to be budgeted for. Be sure to budget for costs associated with data and telephones in the new facilities or for additional workstations. The EATS team manages this process, as well as decommissioning old equipment that may not be relocated into new space. After creating your budget, if you have an expiring lease, new space, planning to move, or expanding current space, prepare a space request and space justification. Submit those along with the budget estimates 365 days in advance. You can refer to the space request instructions for more information, or you can contact us for any questions. For any remodel, expansion, or reconfiguration of existing leased facilities, refer to our policies and forms located on the division's website. Next page. Forms, important information, and additional resources can be found on the Leasing Services website. And as always, we are available to answer any questions you may have. And we'll turn it back over to Administrator Patrick if there are any other additional questions.
Yeah, we're available for questions.
No questions, no hands.
I have not received any questions.
So
Thank you.
that would conclude this one.
I do have a couple other questions, but nothing that relates to what they have. So specifically, one of the questions was a follow-up question to earlier about operating budget cuts from the last biennium, and if those were going to be added into the 2 times cut calculation. And the answer is that they will not be specifically added in the 2 times calc. If they were not funded with ARPA funding, an agency, if they want to restore cuts, would have to do an enhancement decision unit in their budget to restore those. And if it can fit within their 2 times cap, it can go into their agency submission. If not, it would have to go into items for special consideration. And that's the final question.
All right. So I think that concludes our presentation for today, and I want to give a shout out to all our presenters and thank you very much for being here and presenting a wealth of information. As everybody knows, if you have additional questions, just email us and we will get those questions back to you and answered. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Being here.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.